Stream the Gillmor Gang to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Otherwise known as Twitter. Okay, we're live now. I see the notifications are coming in. Let me get this set up on Steve's introductions. And all right, Steve, are you about ready to go?
Uh-huh.
Can you fix your other side there?
Thought I did. That's it.
All right. All right. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Is that good? Yeah. No. Yeah. No. All right. Mute is off, and we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, and.
Hi, Steve Gillmor here. This is the Gillmor Gang. Joining us from, a little bit longer, a little bit longer,
Oh,
a little bit shorter now, a little bit
stronger now.
Yeah, who is that? Is that the
Otis Night in the days or Otis Day in the nights or something?
No, yeah, it's that, the Osley brothers.
All right.
Okay.
Well, old timers know that stuff.
Yes, so the joining us from Atlanta, Georgia is the ubiquitous and always on the air, Brent Leary.
Ah.
I hate when you use words I don't know what they mean. That could be a
Brent Leary.
backhanded compliment or a front-handed.
It's all complimentary. Why wouldn't
Well, thank you. Well, plenty of reasons. We don't have enough time to go into that, but I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Joining us, are you okay, Frank?
No, I'm having audio problems. I'm hearing it come back at me twice. So
Yeah, we're gonna have to start over.
Right,
I need to figure.
Let's kill this start. Let's
Well,
give
Frank's got to fix it,
let's
or
get Frank a second to fix.
I'm gonna.
Brent needs time to finish his energy drink anyway.
I'm gonna log off. I'll come out and come back in. All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know you're using Zoom, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be echoing.
I don't have another device. Do
do you have a window to Facebook or one of the streaming things that's open?
Hold on. I'm turning off both of my other devices, and maybe that'll fix it.
And check if you've got a browser window open on Twitter or Facebook. That could be causing it too. I'm just echoing what Steve said there to echo.
I'm still coming back to you. Just take a Nexium.
I used to take Nexium right after I took Nexus.
All right, Frank, how's
I'm
it
okay
going?
now. Yeah, I'm all right now.
All right. Okay, we're re-backing in. We're going to start over. Where mute is off, and we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, and.
Hi, Steve Gillmor here, and I'm going to keep talking for enough time for the lower third. And welcome to from the great state of, oh yeah, it's the Gillmor Gang.
Jeez, yes. It's
Who
the
knew?
Gillmor Gang.
Welcome to from the state of Georgia, Brent Leary.
Yeah, I'm still here. Thanks.
Also joining us from the state of London is, I love that joke. It never ceases to.
You funny?
I wouldn't say that. Is Frank Radis. Welcome, Frank.
Hi, guys. How are you? I spent the day at the zoo, and I just got home a couple of minutes ago, so I didn't really have time to tweak my systems. Hope everything works out all right.
Oh, very nice. I hear it's a good zoo.
It's a really good zoo. I've never been there, and I haven't been to the zoo since I went to the Washington, D.C. zoo maybe 30 years ago.
Wow.
Wow.
Anything that involves the Brits stealing things from around the world is usually good.
Pretty good.
Okay, well, whatever that means. Welcome to Tina Chase Gillmor.
Hey,
Hang on.
One hand clapping.
Hey, Frank, I just want to ask you, is everything happening at the zoo?
Yes.
I do
Oh.
believe it.
So lucky.
I do believe it's true.
Is that a Garfunkel and Simon reference?
It could be. It could be.
Oh, okay. Notice the order.
Yeah.
From the state of Palo Alto is Keith Tier. Welcome, Keith.
Such a pleasure to be here on a Friday from the state of Palo Alto. And the state of Palo Alto is school's back. As of
Ooh.
Monday, school was back.
Well, we'll get into that in a second.
Big news.
And
Also,
I've got a new espresso machine, which is wonderful.
and joining us from the state of Massachusetts, or the sector of Mass. What is it? What's Commonwealth?
Commonwealth.
Is what's your name again? Dennis Pombriant.
Hello, everyone. I just like all my fans to know that I am not the new host of Jeopardy.
Yeah. Who is? Let me see. The executive producer who hired himself, who called himself up and said, "Hey, you, how would you like this job?" Who, me?
Well,
don't forget about Blossom, though.
Well, yeah, but she's only going to be doing specials and schnigny.
it takes a certain talent to be able to speak out of both sides of your mouth. That came in handy.
There were so many good people. I actually liked the guy from CNBC the best.
He was okay.
He was pretty good. And I thought the guy from Geordie LaForge was pretty good.
Is that the guy with a carburetor on his head?
Yeah, the guy.
I thought Geordie is a Star Trek.
Yes,
Yes. Is that?
the Star Trek guy.
This
He
is
was
kind of
LeVar
lost
Burton.
on me.
Yeah,
He didn't
LeVar
get it.
Burton. He was very good.
Ever since you said Commonwealth, my mind's been going back to the Great British Empire, which coined the term Commonwealth to disguise the fact that the wealth was not common.
It was common
See?
to them. They got it
You-
all. So.
They
Yeah,
got it all, exactly.
Well,
You know, so even you just tell a lie enough and it becomes the truth.
Referring to your original premise, they developed a great skill at appropriating other people's things, and they called it Commonwealth. I guess that was in the era before they could give away T-shirts.
And the Queen is still her full title includes something of the Empire. I forget what it is now, and head of the Commonwealth.
Oh, what about Defender of the Faith? Want to go there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
so basically, Trump's learned from the best, is all we can say.
Okay. Moving on.
Thank you. Somebody had to say that.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. So I saw a really good episode of the CRM Players yesterday with
Yeah.
the guy in the on the screen here,
Our very
Brett
own Brett Leary.
And well, he'd say he's his very own.
He's his very own. His very own.
On our show, we're going to claim him.
Okay. And his sidekick partner, Piers
Morgan.
Which is
Wow.
Greenberg. And they had this guy from Salesforce talking about something. Brent, can you give us a little synopsis about that? Because it was a really good show.
Well, as you know, earlier this week, I guess that was Tuesday of this week, we were all greeted with this news about Salesforce launching a streaming service called Salesforce Plus in the great naming convention of Disney Plus and Paradise or Paramount Plus, or I like Paradise Plus. That would be a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Discovery Plus.
Discovery Plus. You got to have that plus in there for streaming. ESPN Plus.
HBO.
Can't leave them out. Yeah, well, HBO is Max. They're not Plus.
Well, but a plus is a max.
All
I'm
right.
sorry.
Pull it back there, Frank. So Salesforce Plus, a streaming service, and The press release left a lot of questions, like what exactly is Salesforce Plus? Is it really going to be just content for Salesforce, or is it going to be open, or So we had Colin Fleming, who was heading up the rollout of Salesforce Plus on. We just had a good time talking with them about the whole thing. What is it, and is it really supposed to be the Netflix for business content, or whatever? And it was great. He filled us in. He actually talked about how the role that Dreamforce played in Salesforce Plus. Kind of equated Dreamforce being the equivalent to Disney Plus's Hamilton, and how Disney Plus kind of rolled out and had Hamilton as its centerpiece to kind of get the interest and get people on board, and how Salesforce Plus is rolling out right before Dreamforce and the role that that's playing. And it's the new take on content, and how you got to be more kind of cinematic and broadcast about your business content. And it was really great discussion. And so feel free to check it out. There's a lot of meat on the bone. He talked about how business content sucks today, and he wanted to do something different with it. And I gave him a standing ovation at that point, because I completely agree with him.
Was he not saying that you suck when he said that, Brent?
I don't really consider myself to be business content, man. I don't know what I consider myself doing, but it was open and frank. He was great. He talked about how I think one of the really important things about it was, with all the things going on with data privacy and the cookies going away, companies are going to have to figure out a way to get, first, not third party, but first party data in a clean way. Can you quickly
describe what the difference is between those two?
Well, third party, you go to a website, and this website has partners that you don't have nothing to do with, and all of a sudden you land on a website, and the next thing you know, you might be getting hit up with an ad or an email from a company you didn't even expect you don't have a relationship with, but that company has a relationship with the website owner. So all of this stuff, all of these interactions or nuisance breakup of your day because of ads and notifications you're getting it because not because you had a direct relationship, but you landed on a site that has potentially thousands of relationships with other companies that want to get at you. And so that's the third party cookie way of doing things. Well, that's going away. And so one of the things that he pointed out is that what they want to do is create great content in order to be able to build a direct relationship and not have to depend on, the traditional third party backroom deals. And I thought that was really great. I was really excited to hear that part of it, because I think it's going to force, another way of forcing people to actually get away from this third party stuff and be more direct about what their intentions are and what they're trying to do. And so that was really cool to hear as part of the overall discussion.
Keith, do you know how quickly third-party data is going to go away?
Well, it's already starting to go away because of Apple's implementation on iOS, blocking things, and that Microsoft's browser is quite small these days, but it also blocks things. So what you're doing is you're moving from these common pools or lakes of data to what you could think more of as walled garden data. Walled garden meaning first person data. So companies can't rely on targeting through the network anymore unless they themselves know the users, and then they can. So that leads to this big question, which is, what is the right balance between content marketing, which is what I really think this is that Salesforce is doing, where you get a direct audience, versus advertising, where you pay somebody to show an ad. That the targeting on ads is going to deteriorate, and content marketing, which is what you could think of as earned media, that is to say you work to get the attention, is going to grow. So this is really fairly major shot in the arm of what some people call the creator economy and spreading it now into the enterprise. Every enterprise is going to have to become a creator in this world.
Well, this is reminding me of Frank bringing this up a couple of shows ago about how streaming as a business and for businesses are going to start popping up, and that we're just beginning to see, we're seeing the tip of streaming in entertainment, but this sort of broadens the scope. Not that business can't be entertaining, but seeing different streaming situations and different use cases for it. And Frank, I think that sort of dovetails on what you had talked about.
When I heard about the Salesforce thing, my mind went to something like an organization that allows itself to be used to distribute platforms on the stream. It's obviously not what it is, but that's what I thought about it when I first heard it. And what you're saying there, Tina, I do believe there's this is the tip of the iceberg. There's a company I know based out of New York called Maddow Media, and their entire business model is to bring in various creators and put them out on the stream on their own channels, and they're distributed by this one organization. So it's a network of streamed content out of a single hub, and each of the streams is discrete. So look, I've got content and I can create content once a week, and I go to these guys and I say, I want you to put me out there. And you make a deal with them, and they may or they may not market it. You market it yourself, however it works. So whatever kind of content it is, whether it's business content or entertainment content or sports content or news content, you can do it through a company like that. I find that to be an interesting business model, and it seems like it's cropping up. I read a couple of stories just recently after the Salesforce story that described other organizations being created that did exactly that.
Dennis, any thoughts?
I was talking to somebody about this this morning, and it seemed they didn't refer to it as a business model. Although I did, I said, well, you're giving me all the pieces of a business model, and I think it's probably got some legs. Of course, it could end up being something like the video store of the 1980s and 90s. It could be kind of short-lived, but if you get 20 years out of it, what the heck?
I have a sense that it's gonna that it will live and it will have legs. It seems to me like the other side of the coin is everybody just wants to be on the stream. I don't know what to do with it, but I know I need to be there. Now, if you think about what's going on with traditional media and its sort of anti-Nielsen situation right now, that's a very interesting thing, because if you're dependent on an organization like Nielsen to tell you how many people are actually interacting with you, and then you charge your advertisers based on that data, that seems to me to be a dying business model. And I think it's moving towards the business model of the stream, which can actually give you definitive real numbers, even though organizations like Amazon and Netflix will not give you the real numbers.
But this is a really good example of how technology lags ideas, because I don't know if any of you read that book, One-to-One Marketing, which came out like 20 or 25 years ago.
President Rogers.
It was the promise of the internet was one-to-one marketing. And I think Doc Searle's vendor relationship management concept fits in there as well. But suddenly what we now have, because the internet is able to have an analytics layer, is you actually can have it for the first time. And what Apple is doing is throwing a nuclear bomb on Google's data pool, which to answer Steve's question directly, Google is going to keep that data pool going for another couple of years. They extended its life. So cookies are not going away on Google yet, which probably means that they've seen the numbers from iOS 14 and the impact wasn't enough for them to close it down. So they're buying time there.
Well, the other part of that is they were trying out that flock, federated, what do they call it? Federated learning of cohorts. And they got a lot of pushback from, websites, retail websites that said, why am I going to put this on my website pages? It's just another way of, one company being able to control the flow of data. And so you're going to exchange cookies for flock. That they got a lot of pushback, and I think that was one of the reasons why Google had to push back the date of getting rid of the cookies too.
Yeah, which means that for Google, life's going to be about Chrome and Android. That's their data. They're not going to be able to pool other third-party data at some point in the future. They still can today. But
I read an interesting report this week. It was the 7th edition of the Salesforce marketing survey. And the first half of it was very positive about using new technology to support work from anywhere and a variety of other things that sort of free you from the office. But the second part of it had some very interesting data about where investments were going by corporations into new marketing. And in about a dozen categories, no category got more than a 50% response, basically saying, yeah, we're investing enough, or we're actively pursuing this. So the conclusion I drew from it is that everything that we seem to be doing about being more tech savvy out on the web and addressing customers and colleagues and cohorts or whatever, is somewhat lagging, and will lag until organizations invest in the skills and the people to support some of the new things like content development, audio content development, video content development, AI, quite a few other things as well.
I'd watch. I'm interested in keeping an eye on what CNN does in the stream and what kind of difference they think they're going to be able to make. I know that, they've made some really big hires in terms of their on-air talent. I didn't mean to sort of slide it over to this exact thing this early.
Of course you did.
But it's something I know about. So I'd rather talk about something I know about than something I don't know anything about. But somebody's chirping. I am interested in watching what CNN does.
Here you go, Frank.
Oh, your cat was chirping. Must have been a bird in the window.
Must have been.
Well, in addition to what CNN is doing, Rachel Maddow seems to be leaking some information about what her intention is, right?
You right on my
Is that
region.
number 6 on the list?
Okay, so number 1 on my list is speaking of CNN, Brian Stelter's post that just hit the wires about an hour ago about what Rachel Maddow is doing. Has anybody noticed what is going on there?
I didn't see Ryan's most recent note. I just have been reading a lot about what Rachel Maddow seems to be doing. She certainly went out and hired some powerhouse agents. I don't think you go and bring Endeavor in if you aren't thinking about making some kind of change. It sounds to me like she wants, and I haven't read Brian's most recent note.
A little inside there, Endeavor is what?
It's one of the biggest talent agencies in the business, and they handle just about everything. And she actually is working with Ari Emanuel, who is the brother of Rahm Emanuel, who was Biden's chief of staff.
Entourage guy, right?
Entourage guy.
That's correct.
Yeah.
He was fictionalized.
Yeah.
Very slightly.
Yeah.
On that show.
I don't know about that. Anyway, but you don't go out and engage people like that if you aren't seriously thinking about it. From what I'd read, her issue was that she want to spend another 5 years working, 5 nights a week at that late hour, and his family came into the conversation and all of that. What did Brian say that
Well, I
advanced
mean,
the
let me
story?
just shortcut it. Basically, it's all newsletters, podcasts, owning your brand. It's very much tied to some of the issues that the Salesforce Plus effort is representative of. And whether she actually does this or whether she's just using it as a negotiation ploy. First of all, I don't think it's negotiation ploy. I think she did a podcast about a couple of years ago on what's his name?
Spiro Agnew.
Nice job on the moon, Ted, from the yeah.
Oh, is that the Bagman thing she called it?
Exactly. And then she turned it into a book. So, I mean, she's well along with this transformation. So it's not something that she's negotiating so much as, how much.
Well, one of the things that a company like Endeavor does is package. It's not necessarily that, that they're going to negotiate a contract with some other organization for her. And, you having heard that from what you just said, Steve, the fact is she is a great individual brand. And I don't think that there's any reason that she wouldn't be able to take her individual brand and parlay it into something even more powerful.
Frank, my gut, and what do I know? I don't know anything, but I don't like her presentation style, and my guess is she's overplaying her hand if she does this. I don't think the audience for her as an individual.
She's the #1 rated personality in cable news,
and going along with that, Steve,
which tells you that maybe the #1 rated personality in cable news shouldn't go out on their own, because I don't think her brand is bigger than MSNBC's.
So that's interesting that I tend to disagree with you there, Keith, because the brand of MSNBC is overarching and global. Or not even global. It's not global. It's overarching, and it is huge. But she is part of what makes MSNBC that brand today. Yeah. And I think that that she could go out and do this, and in fact probably start something that a lot of people are talking about trying to do, and that is that she could be at the forefront of the creator economy in news, which I think is something that would be an interesting play. I don't have a clue what she's going to end up doing. I mean, her whole life has been on television.
I do think there's the space for a news organization. It's interesting. You're in the UK. Have you been following this UK news thing that Farage is doing?
Only in that I've heard about it.
It's now got more viewers than any of the established news channels.
I've read that too, and I didn't go and look. Have you looked at it?
I have a bunch of friends who've appeared on it, and I see in my Twitter feed their stuff, and it's a fairly intellectual. You wouldn't think it is because it's right wing, but it's actually fairly long form, deep dive interview style, and it's got an audience of about. I think I read that its audience is bigger than CNN, Sky News, and the BBC combined.
I read that too. I read that.
I think Frank makes a good point in that I think Rachel may be trying to call a paradigm shift, a tipping point. And of course, you really don't know until it happens whether or not it would be effective. What Keith has just said about the show in the UK gives me a little bit of concern because it's right wing and it's video, I assume.
Yeah,
so
it's live news. It's I don't know if it's 24/7, but it's a news channel.
So here's the thing. With people like Rush Limbaugh, God rest his soul, the conservatives, the right wing, owned radio for a long time, with the exception of Fox, which is pretty powerful. I'd say the middle of the road and liberals have owned video. It now appears that the right wing may be trying to steal a march on the left, and somebody like Maddow may see that and may realize that the libs have to plant a flag pretty quick.
I think everyone's going to own video. I mean, the interesting thing about the Salesforce announcement is that it becomes obvious when you start to think about it that everyone has to do this. So video is the next platform to compete for attention on, and and Rachel Maddow certainly has a strong enough brand to be part of, let's call it a channel or whatever it is. I would advise her strongly not to do Rachel Maddow TV, but if she was going to do fill in the blank TV with a kind of an attitude and an approach, that's more interesting.
Problem with that is it requires that she broaden herself out, and she's not going to be able to fill 24 hours alone. She's going to have to build a team.
Well, think about what if Salesforce went to Rachel and said, "Hey, Rachel, we'll give you anything you want. We'll give you the platform. We'll give you anything you want. Just join us." Can you imagine what that would be like? And then the other thing is,
Katie Couric is what I would say.
Well, AOL.
But how about you get them both? How about you get them both? And there are plenty of other people out there who, the guy that was on the weekend Good Morning America show, Harris, just left ABC News. He wrote a book about meditation, and he's left ABC News to be some kind of meditative guru. There are people out there who are looking for other avenues and other things to do. And these are all very interesting. I think your idea there, Brent, about what you might do with a Rachel at a Salesforce could be a powerful thing. That's a very interesting thing.
But that's why I said Katie Couric, because Yahoo tried that with her and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think
but that was Yahoo.
Yeah, exactly.
Salesforce is a different ballgame, man.
I was going to say the same thing. I think that Yahoo just wasted her. And I quite honestly, I love Katie, but I never thought that she was right for that anyway. It's interesting, there's this British lady who
Patty Kay,
right, who left
BBC and joined Aussie Media.
Yeah, interesting. So there are some, thank you there, Keith. There are definitely movements in this arena, and those are a few that I think are interesting to follow. It's also interesting that the three most prominent, or the two of the most prominent people that we're all talking about, or even three if you add Katie to it, it's women, which I find interesting.
My gut reaction to Patty Kay going to Aussie was also, I kind of was puzzled by it. It feels like she's put herself from a big platform into a small one.
I thought the same thing, but I still can't figure it out. But I mean, there obviously there's money involved. I don't know that she's certainly not getting paid the amount of money by the BBC that she would have been paid if she had gone straight to one of the major American networks.
Yep.
One of the things that I found really interesting about the Salesforce Plus move is they're not looking at this as an advertising play. So, and their business model is they don't need to look at it as an advertising play. Whereas, Facebook and Google, everything's about advertising because that's their business model. So if you see these big, almost like, when we saw Jeff Bezos buy the Washington Post, he's not constrained by trying to make a profit with those guys. Which allows them to do more interesting things and not have to worry about as much about eyeballs as, the traditional aspects of that model.
And I think that's getting closer to what's going on here. Rachel Maddow's alleged business model is moving into subscriptions and away from advertising. So I think what Brent is suggesting, but I think that there's a larger thing here. I've for months felt, I'm a huge consumer of MSNBC, and Rachel is not my favorite artist on the label. There's the guy who wrote and executive produced some of West Wing, Lawrence O'Donnell. I think he brings a tremendous amount to the party, and not incidentally, his knowledge from being a staffer in Congress, his understanding of how the sausage is made in Congress, which is another story that I hope we can get to before Keith has to jump.
Yeah, and then there's Nicole, who spent time in the White House.
Absolutely, and I mean there's a tremendous roster of talent there. They lost somebody big when I've forgotten her name at the moment.
Casey Hunt.
Who went to
Casey
CNN,
right?
The new CNN Plus.
But here's the kind of point that I'm trying to insert into this, which is watching Rachel over the last few months. I've grown increasingly frustrated by what she is good at, and by what she's good at is she's a very strong writer, and she's kind of like a producer, on-air producer. She comes up with these themes, and she has in the past, the whole thing about Bagman came out of some of the current news, and how she sort of used that in her analysis as a flashback. I think that what's going on here is that she's feeling constrained by the format, and she's kind of over rotated on being the leader in that area, and she's trying to break a new category. And I think that it's very smart. I don't disagree with Keith that there's a possibility that moving to a subscription model may be challenging for her. People are not used to yet paying for news, and I'm not sure that they're going to. But I think that what's going on here, there are a bunch of other things that are happening in the so-called news, like, for example, Mayor London Breed's announcement about San Francisco and mandates, which is forceful and very specific about, okay, this is what's going to happen here, and I'm the only person that can get away with it, basically. And that's also what's happening in terms of the penetration of business in terms of trying to combat this crisis. I think.
By the way,
sure.
I just want to say, Michael Markman is leaving comments. So
yeah,
he said Soledad OBrien is also a name that fits in there. Just wanted to say, hey, Michael.
Who is about? I was gonna mention that too. You beat me to it, Brent. Soledad is about ready to be given a big journalism award, also. So she has not left the stage, and as a matter of fact, is trying also to make a mark in a different arena. And it's interesting because what is the arena? It's video content on a screen. Is that television? I don't know. But what is the difference? What can you do different? And to me, the difference is immediate live interaction. That's if you want to go down that road. I mean, look, I think you can actually fall down a huge rabbit hole if you open up to live interaction. I'm not sure how you control that. In the old days, a call never got through to the disc jockey that wasn't listened to by some producer before it got through to him, and still some really bad stuff got through.
Professor Irwin Corey used to seed the audience with questions, and it felt like people were asking questions, but it was Irwin Corey asking himself questions, and then running his usual routines. So I'm not a big fan of what it's called interactivity. I don't think that people have figured out how to do that since Warner Cube crashed and burned. What was it, 40 years ago now?
Yeah, exactly. Boy, that feels like yesterday to me.
Yeah. Well, but what I do think is going to happen is, like we just skipped right over this mandate thing. How are people feeling about what's going on out there right now, and in the old wacky world of life and death?
I think it's once again, I'll go back to what we said last week. It's stupid against not stupid. I keep reading. I keep getting people pushing back online on my comment about stupidity. But I don't know how else to put it.
I
How
think
about Primal Scream?
That's what I've been doing. I've been screaming primally all day, actually.
No, I mean, well, I mean, when you go to the monkey cage, you have to.
That's exactly my point.
Right. And maybe throw a little poop.
You know,
Oh,
there's honestly right next to the monkey cage is a bathroom and with a big sign of a monkey taking a poop, and it said everybody poops.
Well, that's Fox that's throwing poop.
Speaking of Fox, I do.
I want to talk about Primal Scream, though. I get a point. I get a point about Primal Scream.
Hey, here's your Arthur Janoff right here, pal.
What's that?
Nothing. It's a Beatle reference.
Oh,
Arthur Janoff, the first John Lennon solo album where he screamed for 6 months and then recorded it.
Oh, yeah. That was right after Give Peace a Chance.
Sounds great.
Yeah. The point I would make is that there's a pile of people who aren't vaccinated who are literally overwhelmed by modernity. It's easy for us to sit here. We're all modernists. There's a ton of people out there who feel like they've been lied to. They feel like, you know, their blue collar jobs are all in China at this point, and a variety of other things. And it's an imperfect way. Their rebellion is an imperfect way of literally rebelling against an entity that's not really there. So getting angry or dealing with the unvaccinated as recalcitrant or anything else really misses the point and does not advance the cause.
You know, and I wonder how much the new results of the census will throw some light on this. I think that the two big takeaways were that the America is older and more diverse than it had been since the last census. And will that scare people? Probably.
But why did the former president's group fight so hard to lock down that census if, in fact, it's more diverse? Is that really what the results were?
Yeah,
they were trying to make it less diverse.
Yes, that was it. They didn't want it to be diverse. That was the last thing they wanted that census to come back and reveal. I think that
so what happened? Did it come back and reveal that, or
no?
Did it only by implication did it reveal it?
I think the statistics proved it. Bore it out. Which is something that he didn't want.
Interestingly, this week was also the 4th anniversary of the Tiki Torch march on UVA in Charlottesville.
God, that feels like yesterday too.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's all of a piece with the census.
Yeah.
I mean, they were marching saying things like, "You will not replace us. Jews will not replace us." Bad stuff. There's a lot of pent up hostility and frustration from a certain sector of our society that really feels like it's been left out.
So let me ask you this a different way, though. Is there anything you can see about what's going on with unvaccinated people that's positive?
No.
We have asked,
and we're stuck with this. I mean, the virus is going to overwhelm us. Is that?
No, we have a vast pool of people for testing the Epsilon variant or the Lambda variant vaccine against.
No,
it's interesting though. An awful lot of stories. It seems like more and more we're hearing these stories of people who, on their deathbed, are saying, "I should have gotten the vaccine," and that's making. This is anecdotal, but it seems to be having some effect. So
the numbers are going up.
Yeah.
But it's still a massive amount unvaccinated. But it's interesting if you look at this week what happened in both Israel and the UK. In Israel, where they have something like high 80s% adult double vaccination. The Delta variant has taken off aggressively, and they're now going back to masks and stuff. And in the UK, where similarly high proportion of adults are vaccinated, the Delta variant peaked and then started to come down, and the hospitalizations were very, very low.
So why did that happen?
I think the truth is no one really knows why it happened, but there's a bunch of theories. The biggest theory of all is herd immunity. That's what you hear all the time. And for example, tomorrow the Premier League kicks off and the stadiums are allowed to be full with no vaccine checks at the door in the UK. Full stadiums, no vaccine checks.
That's a bad idea.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, let's test.
I would venture to guess that a lot of the infections you're seeing with the Delta variant, places like the UK, are not recorded because they are subclinical, and they are subclinical because so many people had a vaccine. Vaccine's not supposed to be 100% fail-safe. It's supposed to keep you from hospitalization and death.
Right.
It's doing its job.
Well, therein lies the danger. I think the biggest danger is the Delta variant doesn't have a big enough impact to lead to societal change, but it spreads enough to morph into the epsilon blah blah variant, which all it needs to do to morph is to spread, and it will evolve. And something will come along that the vaccine doesn't stop.
So I think that's interesting because, you know, didn't the FDA just announce that that people with that have
Immunocompromised.
Thank you. Immunocompromised will be the first to get a third shot. And it's a conversation that's going on here in the UK, but it seems that, you know, that there's this global reaction saying, let's not give a third shot. Let's make sure that we can vaccinate the rest of the world, because if the whole world isn't vaccinated, this is not going to stop.
Yep.
True.
And by the way, when you start to think of it like that, which I believe is the right way to think about it, the number of vaccines available is nowhere near enough to achieve that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
Pfizer charged $1 billion to a government last week for a tiny percentage of its population. I didn't actually realize that these drug companies were charging that much. I thought there was some kind of deal that governments made with the drug companies to just get this stuff out there at cost. That is definitely not happening.
Yeah.
This is a for-profit endeavor.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think the first delivery was about 1.9 billion, and subsequent deliveries weren't covered in the original deal. But I suspect that similar quantities were exchanged for that $1 billion. On a slightly different note, I would like to say that if you're familiar with the phrase, "this ain't the hill you want to die on," conservatism is in trouble, because people like Abbott and DeSantis are really trying hard to die on COVID hill.
Mm-hmm. Well, add that to the pandemic of the unvaxxed, and you've got a bad situation. I think I'm seriously. Yesterday, the BBC made a lot of noise about the unvaxxed pandemic in America. There were stories almost all day long about that, and I found that to be very interesting. I wrote a little bit about that and said that this is how the UK is looking at the US. The US isn't looking at itself that way.
Yeah. Yeah, in most of the world, unvaxxed is because there are no vaxes. In the US, unvaxxed is because people think they're being oppressed by having to get vaxxed, which is...
Well, yeah, it's not just being. I don't think it's that. It's just that. I mean, there are. It is this whole misinformation network that is putting this, that is making this happen. I think it's not just about that. People are saying, well, if the FDA hasn't approved it, then why should I take it? Well, the FDA is going to approve it. I mean, Fauci said on television this past Sunday that it was a fait accompli. It's absolutely going to happen. Therefore, go get the vaccination if that's your reason not to be vaccinated. So,
Yeah, most of those people don't speak French.
Oh, okay, then it was absolutely a thing that was going to happen.
I'm wondering if it was a huge mistake for the United States to say, take off your masks for vaccinated people before we actually knew what kind of transmission is possible with vaccinated people. The so-called breakthrough transmission of vaccinated is now very apparent. But we've dropped this whole, mostly dropped the masking and the social distancing as a protector. And this is one of those behaviors, masking and social distancing are the two things that we can do to still protect community spread. And we've got community spread again. So, I applaud what London Breed is doing in San Francisco in indoor spaces. It sounds to me like that's the right way to think about this right now, is that it's not just about proving, well, actually, I want to retract that a little bit, because what she's saying is that if you're vaccinated, you have to show proof that you're vaccinated to get into an indoor space. The vaccinated people are not necessarily safe. We're also spreaders. So, I kind of question what we're doing here about masking and social distancing, why that isn't top of mind when the CDC is talking about how we should be behaving right now.
I think a lot of companies and a lot of businesses are saying that, and look, even school systems, for example, getting back to Steve's original premise.
Hold the thought. Keith has to run. Thanks, Keith. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Sorry to run.
Chow mein.
Bye.
Have a good week.
In New York, for example, there are tons of restaurants that you will not be able to get into unless you can show that you've been vaccinated twice, and they want you to mask until the food comes to your table. On the other hand, there are restaurants that are actually putting signs out on their doors saying, "We welcome the unmasked. We welcome the unvaccinated." How in the world can that? I mean, that to me is exactly the same thing that's going on in our political situation right now.
Well, I think that's actually a public service on their part. They're letting me know that I'm not going in there.
Well, point taken. You're right. It just, so what does it boil down to here? It boils down to, if we can't take care of ourselves, nobody else is going to take care of us.
And
It's a Darwinian moment.
Our friend Michael Markman, who couldn't be with us today, is agreeing with me, saying that yes, we need all three. We need vaxxing, we need masking, and we need the distancing to get anywhere right now. So thank you, Michael, for.
There was the governor of Kentucky was on NBC yesterday, and he had two stark points to make. He said in two counties, one of which there's a mandate, there are no hospitalizations, zero. And this is relating to going back to school for kids. In another county, also in Kentucky, there are 500 kids who are sick or are testing positive. And that's in 3 days back to school. I mean, this is going to, unfortunately, this is going to work itself out as people
die. As people die.
Well, as people are confronted with information that is going to inevitably lead to them understanding what they have to do. And I think that, in terms of the impact politically, I'm not as sanguine about the possibilities of voting these people out, but Dennis, do you think something's going to happen politically?
I think what you're looking at right now is a replay of the rise and fall of the Ku Klux Klan post-Civil War. It rose. President Grant was pretty forceful in putting it down, but it never really went away. I think you're gonna see this chaotic movement, if you can call it a movement, sort of recede, but it's not going to go away. This is part of what Richard Hofstadter was talking about when he wrote about the paranoid style in American history. We'll get control of this simply because a lot of people are going to die. A lot of people aren't going to be able to go to work, and they're going to grudgingly take the vaccine, and we'll see the virus almost eliminated. But this is part of the edifice of America from now on.
God, it's such a shame.
A couple of other things on my list. I promised some people that I would actually use the list as opposed to
some people.
It's a way.
Is that some people sitting right next to you?
Well,
Maybe.
that's one of them.
Was it named after a Rolling Stones album, Some Girls?
Ah, yes. I've already told that story, however. So the crypto, the article by, what is his name? It was posted by you, Dennis, in the Gillmor Gang.
Oh, was that Ezra Klein?
Yes. Ezra Klein's article about the impact on the infrastructure bill, or a slight slowing down of the infrastructure bill, which ultimately was passed, at least in the Senate, by this fight over crypto. Can you, I'm not sure you're a big crypto fan, so why did you post that in the app?
Why did I post it? Well, what was interesting about the article was that most of the Senate doesn't know what crypto is or does. But Klein's point was that they do have this gut instinct and understanding that it needs regulation. And it was basically, the bill was about not even specific regulation, just do we treat it as something that should be regulated so that later on we can advise or tell the Treasury Department to get going with regulating it. That's what I got out of the article.
It feels like what I was talking about with streaming. It's that they know they need to know about it. They know they need to be involved in it. They know that it's there. They just don't know what to do with it. I think one of the only people that has in the past that came up with knowing what to do with it was Lionel Messi. Who made crypto a part of his deal. Well, that's pretty interesting to me.
Can somebody tell me who Lionel Messi is?
Brent, I put this in your capable hands.
Hey, I know about football, not football, man.
So
That's
Lionel Messi is probably the greatest living soccer player. I say soccer, not football.
I don't know. See, Pele is still living.
Is he still alive? Okay. I thought that's what they called the former guy every time he hit the ball onto the green. But Lionel Messi had been, I don't know, for almost his entire life playing for Barcelona, and just out of nowhere, even apparently surprising his family, decided to make a 2-year deal and move to Paris to play for Paris Saint-Germain. Another Paris reference, another French reference there, Dennis. And for some, I don't know, $40 million a week, and then really, And then some percentage of that, a not insignificant percentage of that, was going to be a new type of cryptocurrency, not Bitcoin or any one of the ones that we know about, but some new cryptocurrency that has to do with crypto being assigned to the audience, the people who come to watch the games. I'm not quite sure how it works. It almost felt to me like, got to get in that crypto game. So how can we do it? It's about fan tokens. Don't ask me to explain that. I can't.
So another news article I saw indicates that both Fish, not a group that I'm really familiar with, but I'm aware of their jam band status.
You're talking about Ed Vigoda, but you know.
No, the Fish was the New Dead, but not anymore.
Right. And the other group is the New Dead, but still not anymore, which is the Dead for Now, or I forget what their name is, which is
we're all dead.
Some of the dead.
It's a pandemic
who
band.
are still not dead. And both of these groups are doing it in San Francisco, which is to say, you're not vaccinated? Sorry.
The reverse Eric Clapton.
Yes.
Hey, speaking of that, tell us how well that did, Tina.
Oh, okay. Well,
Look, listen, I wasn't the only one to say that. Arnold Schwarzenegger agreed with me.
well, we did have a nice sneak peek going there for a while, Frank, and got a lot of views, and we're excited about that. That was our
Breakout.
What? Yeah, breakout. Yeah.
That just means, Frank, you're gonna have to end every show with those.
No, he's not.
No, I'm not. I promise I won't. I will.
Interestingly, it was on Facebook, broadcast on Facebook Live, that show, and the offending word in the titles was asterisked out.
Oh, right. The captioning.
What's that all
the
about?
Automatic captioning captioned your little swear word.
They haven't
out.
figured out how to do that
Yeah.
with right-wing lies, but they can certainly.
Right. The algorithm is quite specific, huh?
You know that's interesting. You know, and as you talk about right-wing lies, there was a story that can I jump in with another news story, Steve, for a second,
I don't
or do you
know.
want to go down your list?
How does this Substack thing work? Are you allowed to say anything?
I was gonna talk about AOC and Tucker Carlson, which just personally, it just annoys the hell out of me. There you go. What is that going to come up with? Like HE asterisk asterisk. And that is AOC in an interview said that that she felt not only threatened by the January 6th insurrection, but she was concerned that she might in fact get raped. To which Tucker Carlson replied, "Get a life." Some horrible rejoinder that you know, he did get flamed on social media, but not enough, because here's a guy that has, you know, he's out there courting dictators and telling all of these lies, misinformation, and it is doing nothing but increasing his ratings on Fox. He actually is the highest rated cable anchor. Go figure. And I think his father actually has already been involved in some other kind of nefarious activities, and I'm not. I don't know enough about to talk about here, but his father was somehow connected to things that he should not have been connected to, and has never come out. So a lot of things that we used to do as journalists, which was to reveal connections that we had, to talk about the things that in our past that may interfere with our judgment, our editorial judgment, that our bosses knew about and made a difference about the things that we did and got assigned to, don't seem to matter anymore. Certainly not at Fox.
Okay, so the last thing on the list is the Apple privacy issue. Anybody want to weigh in on that, or You could just go to Keith Tier's newsletter and read about 50 different.
What's the name of Keith Tier's newsletter?
That was the week that was or wasn't. It's fantastic. He
That was the
I don't know where he gets the time. Clearly, he's probably doing it right now.
Yeah. You know, the only way to do those things is to do them all the time. I have discovered.
Well, apparently, that's something you've proven, right?
Oh my
I don't know
God.
how you do it. I mean, I do know.
I was sitting in front of the aquarium, writing stories and copying and pasting and doing all of that while my family was sitting to my right going, wow, look at that. It's Nemo. And I'm going,
Hey,
yeah, Nemo.
Real life.
Look at this fish. And I'm going, yeah, fish. That's a horrible band. Oh man.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
See how I brought that back around full circle?
Yeah.
Frank, I could see it lumbering up Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
Okay. Final thoughts. Brent.
Trying to figure out, should I go to Subway or Chipotle right after this is over?
Is Subway a good thing?
It's
Hey,
good enough.
Eat fresh. I did Five Guys today, so
Oh,
Ooh.
there
would
you
be
go.
good.
Five
Boy,
Guys.
would be.
Oh
They
my
got a
gosh.
business model.
Wow. I was like, I walked past this Five Guys on Baker Street and I just stuck my head in and smelled the French fries and said, I'm all over this.
Mm, nice.
Yeah.
They have Five Guys in UK.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
I've been to a Five Guys in the UK, actually.
Yeah. It's right across the street from the Sherlock Holmes Museum, which is at 221B Baker Street.
I was going to say 22B Baker Street.
221B.
Did you ever see the Irregulars?
Yes.
And
I
I'm
liked
sure it was great, right?
I liked it. Listen, by the way, I want to throw two shows out there as I am often want to do. One of them is called Money Heist. Absolutely fantastic and addictive.
Too long.
It is, but it's really good. And but I've just discovered another one called Hit and Run, which
Yes,
is
we're enjoying
which is
it.
it's so good that so you know. There is no the death of streaming. There is a question about the death of broadcast, and that is a serious question right now. But streaming just seems to keep chugging along, and really good content on the one hand. You know, I did find myself last week going through a whole bunch of shows that I would watch the first 5 minutes of and go, this is crap. After I realized I had spent a week watching 100 episodes of Gotham.
Asked and answered.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, Dennis, wrap up thoughts?
Dog Days of Summer. In some ways, not much going on. In some ways, lots going on. I find myself alternating between being amazed and pleased that the Senate could actually get out of its way and do things, and very depressed about things like the wildfires, the inability to vaccinate enough Americans, politicians that insist on dying on COVID Hill. Should be another interesting few weeks ahead of us. I don't know.
We did start the fire, by the way.
It's a Billy Joel reference.
And we kept it burning.
Yes, we did.
I'm still reading. I'm still watching In Treatment, by the way.
Tina, last thoughts.
I don't know. Give me the list. Forgotten now. Did I have a list thought there?
No, I did everything on the list.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Last thoughts is I feel like I've been sensing my families and friends get much more nervous again about the virus, and I think we're just back to this sort of uncertain territory where I think, about 2 months ago, we were all feeling so much better. And now we're faced with a lot of uncertainty again. And it's bringing back really uncomfortable, kind of scary thoughts. And it's getting to me again. So that's my last thought. I hope, I don't see the end right now. And I thought we would be seeing it sort of in the distance, and we kind of know that we were getting there. And it's further away again.
Anecdotally, as I was walking around the London Zoo today, I would say the majority of the people, even outside, were masked up.
Oh, wow.
Which I made a point of seeking out people that weren't masked up, and most of them were young people who had even younger children. But I would say that most of the people there were masked up, which I found very interesting.
I would say over the past week, I did see a little bit of a difference here in the South. In going to the grocery store on a given day, and it maybe was a fluke, but there was a lot more masking at Trader Joe's than there was previous. Before, I was one of maybe 2 people in the place that had a mask on, and in this visit, I'd say at least 50% of the people, and it was kind of crowded that day, had masks on, and that was a change.
Mm-hmm.
So my attitude about this is whatever the conventional wisdom is, back off it slightly.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is if the conventional wisdom is okay, it's party time,
Oh,
don't go to the party.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just
Even-
back off
But
it
the
a little bit.
messaging,
Because
Didn't-
it's not about what we know today. It's about what we're going to find out tomorrow that's going to hurt us.
Even Obama disinvited some very important people from his 60th birthday party because of this.
Right.
Wow, Michelle got disinvited?
Oh, she'll probably go. She'll probably go. But I mean, do you say no to all the late night hosts? I think not. Anyway, he did, but he also said no to Axelrod, for example. So it's like he's not being he's being pretty specific about it. He's just cutting it back because he was flamed.
It's not the people, it's the people that they are in touch with.
Well, we're in touch, so you be in
wait,
touch.
I'm not sure I understand. I'm sorry to hold up the end of, winding up the show, but so he was disinviting people.
He's
because they were
downsizing the
not-
number of
They were
people.
not
Yeah.
back, or he's just
No,
want
no.
smaller
Just-
amount of people there.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Reducing the risk. And
Yeah.
I think, talk show hosts are a toxic group. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Especially
All
those
right.
that moderate these kind of discussions.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, moderate this.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Isn't that what? Don't you do that, Brent? Wait a minute. Wait.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't do.
Brent's on sabbatical from his network.
Hey, Brent's got another show to do today, right, Brent?
That's right. Watching Amazon, correct?
The hardest working man in show business.
In streaming business, yes.
I mean, I was going to
All
try
right.
to figure out a way to say that, but it didn't roll out smoothly.
That's okay. Next week it'll be,
I'll think about it.
We'll be so sick of hearing this next week that, we're doing
Why
fine.
next week? Why wait
This,
till-
it's funny. This was another show that went by. It felt like it went by in a half an hour. Last week was the same. I'm not quite sure.
It must be because I made an appearance.
No,
That's
yes,
it.
I agree.
That's it.
But I also think it has something to do with the list.
Ooh.
The list is waking. All right, folks, time to wrap up.
Thanks. I think
Okay.
I'll do it. Thanks to the people that have already moved on, and namely Michael Markman, who is,
They haven't died.
no, he's still
Yeah, he'll be back.
in the
I'll be
comments.
back next week.
Oh,
He's been great on the comments, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really? I haven't
Yeah.
seen.
yeah.
Somebody
no,
tell, what happened? Michael, let us know what happened. Why are you in the comments?
He's with us. He's with
Not
us,
on-
even though he's not right here visually with us.
And thanks to Keith Tier, who, just thank you. And I heartily recommend his newsletter this week. It's
Hardly?
full of, I heartily.
Heartily.
That's heartily with a T.
H-I-L-Y.
Heartily with a
Sound
T.
like that. That's why I'm asking.
Let me put my teeth back in. And okay,
Hey, Belzer used to do that.
he did?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that meant?
Well, that was, you might have thought it meant something else.
Miss him.
Yes. I want to thank Keith Tier for his contributions. And I want to thank Dennis Pombriant. Thank you, sir.
See ya.
His-
Thanks.
And his kitties.
And the cats.
Thanks, Frank Radis.
Happy to play.
And Brent Leary, thank you, sir.
Hey-oh.
Hello.
Thanks to our producer, director, and occasional participant, Tina Chase Gillmor.
Woohoo.
Thank you. And
That's the Pelosi clap. Yeah.
I'm touching that one. And
Hey, thanks for the clap.
Oh.
Well, that's what we used to say at the end of every night when the band finished.
and Brent is wishing that he had just left
5 minutes ago.
3 seconds ago. It's possible. Thanks to everybody who showed up, and especially those who didn't. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.